Hi guys, it's Sarah. This is the long-awaited video of why I quit my job. So get like a snack or like a drink because it's a lot. I am spilling the tea today. I just as like backstory, I got hired back in October of 2014. So I had been working at this job for a very long time. It was a little over 6.5 years, I would say I was there. And the whole time it was just trouble and just a bunch of BS, a bunch of just garbage situations going on. All my bosses were super unprofessional. Also, keep in mind this is a retail store, so I mean, if you haven't worked retail or anything in the food industry, like basically those managers treat you like you're an object rather than you being a human. So my bosses were super unprofessional. The one that I had worked with for years, he was complete garbage. I mean, they were all garbage, but this man in particular was complete garbage. He decided he was going to sleep with one of the teenagers that was working in the department and give her whatever shifts she wanted, give her pay increase, and give her, an updated title, this, and that. And the worst part is that management, like higher up management, like HR found out and they still didn't fire him. They were trying to make her quit because they don't want to fire people because they don't want to give them unemployment. So when it was all said and done, she ended up quitting and they were still seeing each other for some time. I don't know what happened after that. But I do know now that apparently he's not with her or whatever. And it was just like this whole giant thing. Like his wife came to the store and was like begging the store managers to get him to stop seeing her and all this stuff. Like it was just really bad. So that was when I first started. That was my first inkling that like this place was trash. It was also very controlling. Like I would request days off and then they wouldn't give it to me, and even like for like my birthday and stuff, or even like I had already had vacation days at that point. So I had put in my vacation days and they said, "No, this day falls on this and we need you for that," and blah 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 blah. And it was always that situation no matter what. Like every single time I needed a day off, it was an issue. And it was just always something. Like I remember I got hurt on the job and I cut my hand on one of the blades, and just for reference, it was a deli. So I cut my hand on the deli blade, and they didn't want to pay for it. They didn't want to give me the insurance card, even though they're supposed to, because they legally pay to have workers insurance for their employees if something happens on the job. That's a workers' comp case. So they didn't want to give me the information or their insurance card. So then like I had to go in there, and then my dad threatened to go in there and just all this stuff. Eventually I did get the information from them to bring to the hospital. And then the hospital also called them too, stating that they can't do that. They can't withhold that information, and stuff like that. But not only that, it just seemed like no matter what manager we had, they were all bad. Like always bringing their personal problems to work. Like I've had managers that didn't want to come into work, so then I had to fill in for them. I was a lead, and they were trying to like pressure me into being assistant manager, and I really didn't want that because I didn't want to stay there because it was just really bad for my mental health. Like the managers were really super toxic, unprofessional. A lot of my coworkers were toxic and unprofessional. Like everyone was trying to get everybody else fired, and it was just like this whole big giant thing. Like everything was always a brawl. Like every day was a brawl. And on top of that, like if you've ever worked customer service, like it's horrible. Like the way these customers talk to you, the way that they like yell at you, and like demean you. Like I cannot even tell you how many Karens I've had to deal with. And also just in the middle of a pandemic as well, like that was really scary. You had people coming up to you, like this was way before the vaccines were even in question or even in development. Like, well, maybe they were in development, but they were nowhere near being done. But people coming up to you, like getting in your face, breathing on you, like it was just really nasty. So I just, at one point I was just very like done. Like I felt it in my heart, I felt it in my soul, like I just felt it all over, like I was just done. It was just always something. Like I couldn't even take my vacation days without an issue. They said I was obligated to be there because I'm full time and blah blah blah. And another thing too was like this place was open on holidays, and I missed out on over 6 years of spending that with my family. And that sucks because there's so many times my grandparents were like, "Oh, are you coming?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I have to work." And and they would make my shifts longer on the actual holidays too, just so that like we couldn't spend time with our families. Like it was really dumb. And I know people are going to say like, "Well, why didn't you leave?" and blah blah blah. And I was trying to. Like I had interviews like a lot. I had a lot of interviews and nothing ever like really panned out for me. Like I almost had all these other jobs so many other times, but then they go and they close the position or they find someone else that's more qualified, which is fine, but then don't lead me on and keep me coming back. Like there was this one place I went for like 3 interviews, and then I went to go meet who would be my direct boss, and they basically said I had it, and then they sent me an email saying that I didn't. They wanted somebody bilingual for that job, which I am not. I only know a little bit of Spanish, definitely not enough to have like full on conversations with people. So I'm assuming they went with someone that was bilingual. So this place was just horrible. The place that I was working at previously, it like I can't even like explain it to words like how traumatizing it was too, because I've literally had managers get in my face and scream at me. And when I first started this job, I was only like, I had just turned 19, so like I didn't know how to handle that. Like I had no idea that managers would do that and they would get in your face and stuff, and just like make a scene, I guess. Like I had no idea, and I was just like, why is that okay? Like why is that okay that they treat people like that? Like I was not about that. I was very much like upset about it, and it definitely ruined my mood, and it ruined like me for a long time, because I would go in there upset and I would go home upset and all this stuff, and it was just a roller coaster of emotions. And I know a lot of people are gonna say like, "Oh, you should have just left sooner," and yeah, I wanted to, but also I had to keep a roof over my head. Like I had an apartment to pay for and a dog to pay for and car insurance to pay for, and I need clothes and bathroom essentials and food and stuff like that. So it's not like I could have just up and left that job even though I really wanted to. I had to like provide and like keep a roof over my head, and it's a lot different when it's you against the world. And I'm not saying it was just me in it, because my fiance, I lived with him at the time, so I mean we helped each other a lot, but still, like, everything's expensive, especially in like, I know California is really bad, but also here in Illinois our taxes on everything are pretty high. So that was why I couldn't just up and leave when I wanted to. Trust me, there was many times where I just wanted to be like, F you, I'm out. But I didn't, because I couldn't. But yeah, this place was just so bad. They would like, just everything. Like, they would freaking put out expired products, like expired food out. And, I would try to throw it out, and then they get mad at me and just all this stuff. But I would still throw stuff out if I felt I had to, because if it's bad, you shouldn't be giving it to people. Like, that's how I feel. But yeah, it was always something. And like, I was talking earlier about how I was a lead. Like, I didn't even ask for that. Like, they didn't ask me. They just told me, like, hey, this is your job now. And I was like, okay. And I figured, okay, it's gotta be more money, so maybe, like, I shouldn't, like, cause a scene about it. But I soon found out that, like, they were, like, forcing me to go to meetings and that were far away, like an hour or more away. And keep in mind, like, I, like, barely drove. Like, I had literally just learned, like, how to drive at this time. I was always afraid of driving. And I literally got my car, like, insured and everything, like, literally the day before. And I told them, like, hey, I don't really drive, and I don't even know if my car can make it over there because it's like a 2004 and it's had a bunch of work done, and I don't know what else is gonna, like, happen next with it. And they still made me go anyway. And then they would, like, pressure me into, like, giving other people rides that I didn't even know. They just worked for the company, and I was like, ugh. But it was just, like, this whole giant thing. And, like, even, like, now, like, I've been gone for 2 months now, and that's why I wanted to wait a little bit to kind of, like, have time to reflect and everything. Even now, I feel like that was the worst freaking place ever. Like, I know my dad has always said you're gonna hate it no matter where you go, but, like, that was really bad. Like, that was really, really, really bad. Not only that, but they would hire criminals and stuff too. And I know this because I actually went to school with somebody that actually got a job there, and I know just from talking to the girls up front that they do not do background checks on anybody. So we had, like, pedophiles working back there. We had, like, what's it called? Like, criminals, like, people with records and stuff like that, like bad records that have had, like, sexual assault charges. And, like, as a female, like, I'm, like, very, in protective mode, like, on guard always, and that did not help anything. Like, that definitely made it worse. And it was just like, so many things. And they were letting people work with COVID, and they were letting people that had their family members that tested positive work at the store when their family members were testing positive for COVID. And I went out of my way to talk to the store manager about it, and he was like, well, if one's upstairs and one's downstairs, it's fine. And I'm like, what? And, like, I'm sorry, I've never heard anywhere from the CDC or anywhere else that, like, if one's upstairs and one's downstairs, it's okay. I've never heard that ever in my entire life. There's no rule like that. It's if you come into contact with anyone that has COVID, you live with anyone that has COVID, you're supposed to quarantine as well. And they were not abiding by that. And so I brought that up to my fiance, and he ended up calling OSHA, which is, like, the people that handle that type of stuff as far as, like, work. I guess for, like, work ethics and, like, work safety and stuff like that. So, I mean, they didn't do much, but they did a little bit. They rattled them a little bit. But I just feel like a lot of stuff they were doing was not okay. So yeah, it was just a lot. And, like, even to this day, I still, like, have nightmares that I wake up and that I have to go back there. And it's crazy. Like, even now, I feel like I have these nightmares that I still work there, that I work there on the weekends, because that was another thing. Like, when I was in the office, they were trying to convince me to stay. They always try to convince people to stay because they don't have, like, a lot of loyal employees, I guess. And I told them, I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I made my mind up, like, I'm done. And they were like, well, do you want to work here on the weekends, maybe as, like, part-time, so that way you can have extra money? And I was like, no. And now every time I have these nightmares, I jolt up, like, in the morning or in the middle of the night thinking I have to go back there. And it's just crazy. Like, sometimes I even, like, freak out, and I'm like, well, should I check my old, like, job app to see if I actually am on the schedule? Like, it's crazy. Like, I have these nightmares that I'm, like, back there again. It's just, I don't know. It was just crazy. All of it was crazy. but I do have a better job now. I got a job working with my friend's boyfriend's company, and I work from home, so that's a lot better for me. I get to be with my dog, and that's important. At my last place of work, they got mad at me the one time because this was when we had our family dog, Cody, that we were gonna put him down that one day, and I didn't want to go in, but my stepmom was like, oh, just go in and just tell them you have to leave early. So I was like, okay. So I went in and I just told him, hey, I gotta leave early, like, we're putting our dog down today, and like, we still want to spend time with him, this and that. And I will never forget how mad he got at me, and he got so like pissed off and told me I couldn't leave and blah blah blah. And I was so mad. Oh, so I literally stuck it to him, and I told him, I was like, I'm leaving, like, whether you like it or not, I'm leaving, and I will make it up another day. And now I'm thinking I shouldn't have even gone in that day, because that time was precious, and I shouldn't have let them take that away from me, So, I mean, now I'm at a better place, and I work from home, and, I have my dog that I have now. So I spend time with him, and I think of Cody every time because they act pretty similar. But I guess my thing I would say is, like, don't let people like push you around, and if you're in a bad situation, just like try to find a way to get out, because it's not worth it in the long run. Like, my mental health has been crap and complete garbage, and I'm just now coming out of like depression and stuff. Like, it's crazy. I've been trying to be better about like a sleep schedule. I've been trying to be better about like having just small little daily chores rather than having to like massive clean all at once. And I'm just trying to have like a better lifestyle and just trying to like recover from everything. So just like always take care of yourself, always do what's best for you, and when push comes to shove, you gotta shove back. And yeah, so I definitely feel a lot better at my new job, but also I feel like I've been missing something, and I think that's passion. I think I really just want to like focus on like drawing and stuff, because that's the only thing that kind of brings me some sort of, I don't want to say happiness, because there's other things in my life that bring me happiness, but I think my drawing is like the only thing that kind of brings me to like my creative state. And I feel like that's important to have your creativeness, your passions, your things like that. So I really want to focus on that. And I think that was all I had to say. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. I have more videos planned. I've been redoing my desk. I've been talking about that for a while. But it's almost there now, so doing good. But thank you for watching and listening to my story, and I hope you have a good day and week and month and year and a good rest of your life, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.